Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I will wait 2 more minutes because I'm seeing that people are joining, and then we'll be ready to start. So see you in 2 minutes. Okay, so I think we can. Okay. So I think we can start, and thanks a lot again for joining us today. Oh, sorry. Okay. And before we begin, I would like just to share a couple of technical details regarding the workshop. So the session is recorded, and we will then publish the session on our Epic's YouTube channel. So all of you are muted, and your camera is off. So also for this reason, if you have questions, any comment or doubt during the session, I'm kindly ask you to write in the chat. We set a 5-10 minute slot at the end of the session to address all your comments and all your questions. So before diving into the today's session, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Jessica, and I'm a project manager at CERN, Startup Europe Regions Network. We are based in Brussels, and we are one of the partner of Epic's project, and we are the organizer of today's workshop webinar. Unfortunately, this will be the last webinar of the pollination series activities, but there will be one last one next week, organized by another Epic's partner. I'm going to share the details in the chat, so then you can have a look and register. It's going to be on the 29th of June. So, after saying that, I just want to give you a bit of context of why we are here today, and especially what's the project about, what EPICS is about. So, EPICS stands for Excelling Deep Tech through Place-Based Innovation and Connected Ecosystem for Women-Led Startups. The project, it's an Horizon Europe project. It was launched in January 2025, and it's running until December 2026. So it's a 24 months project. It aims to strengthen the European innovation ecosystem by supporting women-led deep tech startups and connecting regional innovation ecosystem across Europe. As you can see here from the map, we have 16 countries involved in the project and several actors from researchers, researcher centers, universities, and so on. So EPICS itself, it focuses on 4 key objectives, and which are activate and expand an interregional interconnected ecosystem to support and accelerate women-led deep tech startups, increase the market footprint of European women-led deep tech startups in strategic digital technologies, and improve connectivity within and between the deep tech innovation ecosystem, and last but not least, strengthen and expand cooperation to better support the next generation of deep tech innovators. Let's say that to achieve them, EPICS is structured around one of the main activity of the project, which is the acceleration program. With the acceleration program, the project is supporting the 20 selected startup through financial assistance, of course, but also tailored support. The program itself includes networking activities and collaboration with also innovator actors involving in the process not only the selected startups but also the ecosystem builders and external stakeholders, because in EPICS we have we reach a very good number of stakeholders involved in the project. So if you are also interested in joining EPICS, please feel free to reach me out. And the project also foresees workshops, webinars like this one, and participation in international events and open learning opportunities for selected startups, the ecosystem builders, and anyone interested in the topic. Lastly, also for the startups, we have for the selected startups, they will benefit also from cross-border visits. And as I was saying, today's webinar is one of the activities foreseen in EPICS project, and today's session is titled "From Social Innovation to Social Impact: Turning Deep Tech into Scalable Value." So just a few words about this session. This session explores how innovation is shifting from a technology-first mindset to a problem-first approach. It explores how startups can solve real society and global challenges while creating scalable and long-term value. It also covers investors' expectation and the role of ecosystem in helping ventures grow. As you can see, the session is led by Luisa Baltazar. She's a founder and CEO of Her Venture Lab. Luisa is a global advisor, an educator, and leadership expert with over 30 years of experience in innovation, entrepreneurship, strategy, communication, and people development. Through her outstanding career, I have to say that she has worked across Europe, the US, Africa, and the Middle East, with leading institutions and innovation ecosystems, including the European Commission, the European Innovation Council, the Dubai Chamber, Berkeley, Stanford, Google, and Karolinska Institute. So I think now, Luisa, the floor is yours. Welcome, and thanks a lot again for joining us today. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So we don't have a lot of time for all the things that I wanted to share, so I'm going to jump right into it. Let me just share my screen, my presentation. Dun, dun. Juggling a little bit with the settings. Let's see if this works just fine. Managing here my 2 screens. There you go. Okay, so good morning, everyone. And I'm going to do a short introduction of her Venture Hub. Whoever wants to know more, feel free to visit our LinkedIn or our website and to better understand what we do. We're a social enterprise and we operate in two areas. We do impact for business, for corporations, organizations, startups, etc. And we do social innovation for society, being women-centric and gender equality-centric. This means that we help women in entrepreneurship, leadership, and the workforce to advance, to grow, to acquire economical freedom. And hopefully that way we contribute to a better world. So we do this, our action in two pillars: social impact through our impact hub that's focused on measuring the impact that we have and helping others measure their impact, and our business hub, which has services, and that's how we make money in order to sustain our social activity, our social initiatives. And we are with our social hub, we have a couple of social initiatives that we've been developing in the last 3 years, and the digital hub is almost ready to be launched, and it's a solution to help women grow in their careers, self-life, legacy, the purposes that they have. Jessica did a little bit of an introduction about me, but whoever wants to know a little bit more, just visit my LinkedIn. Nowadays, everything is there. So let's start with our session today. Usually there's the quick icebreakers. I'm not doing that. I'm doing an exercise with you guys almost immediately after I start, okay? So first of all, why is it important, the topic that I'm bringing and the what we've been doing with her Venture Hub, what we've been doing with EpicX. We were also the ones delivering and leading workshop on the bootcamp on when they all attended in Portugal, which was lucky for me because I'm based in Portugal. So I'm bringing four and this is a pat yourself in the shoulders kind of moment of the training or of the session. I'm bringing four big organizations that all face the same challenge. This is AO Research Institute in Davos, one of the number ones, and with a couple of Nobel laureates in there. This is Champalimau Foundation in Portugal, one of the more advanced ones in Europe, and definitely in Portugal. And Sarja Technology Tech Park and Innovation Park in the Emirates, and Karolinska Institute in Sweden, which also they actually are the ones that choose the Nobel Prize for medicine and physiology. And what do they all have in common? They have the same problem. They struggle, and I know because I've partnered or worked with them, and so has been one of the topics that we've been talking. They all struggle with bringing research and advanced and innovative technology and research into the market. Because it is hard when you're being really innovative. It is really hard to envision and anticipate how the market is going to react, how it's going to accept. Most of it is predictions and assumptions. So if you're struggling, don't feel bad because the best of the best of the best are also struggling. Okay. So, but today, hopefully, I'll give you a little bit of information and some guidelines for you to move forward. So first of all, let's talk a little bit and do a little bit of an exercise about problem versus solution. So the question would be, if I was having a chat with you, I would ask you, so what, did you find a solution for a problem, or are you looking for a problem for your solution? And this is different because when you find a solution, then you try to fit into a problem. But if you have the problem first and you find the solution, that's an easy sale. So for example, if it's you found a solution, you came up, you invented the umbrella, and everyone is, has rain falling on their heads and sun burning their cheeks, whatever, right? So, and you created the umbrella. That's an organic sale. You don't even have to explain, it's this provides you with shade. But if you created something like the foldable umbrella, then you have to explain the use, the conditions, the context, the advantages. So sometimes just because we can do something, especially in tech, does not mean that there's a real need. The possibility is not representative of a real need. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise. And the exercise is calculating pain versus opportunity versus promise. So you're going to think of your solution, and you're going to honestly rate it. You don't have to to say the end result. You can keep it to yourself, or you can share in the chat, and Jessica will help with, kind of seeing where most of you fall on. So honestly, you have to rate the pain, and the pain being, I'm a parent, my child has a problem, has something, the pain is immense because it keeps me awake at night. I'm a business owner, I'm losing money, not making business, not making sales. That's a huge pain. So understand that you need the number 10, it's like life or death almost. So rate your pain. Then the opportunity. And the opportunity is, okay, I'm ahead of the market, or I'm super well connected. I already have a value chain. So this is an extension, or this is an add-on, or I have a huge background in this area of research or in this technology. That is the opportunity that you're bringing. Okay. And it can be a mix. For example, during the pandemic, how many businesses took the opportunity to grow and do a lot of new products, new services, even if some were temporary? And then the promise. The promise is from 0 to 10, how confident are you that you're going to keep the promise that you made to the client? Meaning, you said you're going to solve the problem. How much do you believe you can solve the problem? So I need you to calculate the average. Do it real quick. Okay. I took a little bit longer explaining because I think that always gives people time to think of the number while I'm talking. So you can keep it to yourself, or you can share it with all of us in the chat. Okay. So feel free to send it chat. I can't see the chat or anything, so I have no idea. So Jessica, you keep an eye.
Yeah, I'm
But
supporting you, but so far nothing in the chat. So we're waiting a bit.
okay, you are shy, but make sure that you calculate this. The person in charge of Nest GSF in Redwood City in the Silicon Valley, he was the one who taught me, an investor. He was the one who taught me this simple way of calculating. If you got to a 0 to 4, his opinion was you should give up. If you got to a 7, between a 7 and a 5 and a 7, it will sell, but again, it will sell with effort for many different reasons. Maybe because the market doesn't understand the solution, hasn't recognized the problem, etc., etc. Have in mind the amount of solutions that have been developed in the last couple of years just because of AI replacing services and solutions and etc. So some of them are being developed because it's an opportunity. It's something that you couldn't do before AI got to the point where it is. Others are a solution to a problem because people are losing their jobs or losing money or losing market. 8 to 10, it sells with ease. Okay.
Okay,
So
we have
number
a comment in the chat. So we have a result of 7.6.
Oh, nice, nice. So almost an 8. If you have good marketing and good connections, you'll get it done. Okay, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples so that you see that this happens again to the best of the best of the best. Juicero was a juice, healthy juice machine, and their business model was very much based on the pricing of the machine, high technology. It would squeeze the packages, high quality of products and produce inside of the packages, really, really good. Yeah, but then people loved actually the juice, but they found out they could squeeze the juice out of the packages with their hands and not by the machine. So soon enough, they didn't have a sufficient business model to sustain the development and the time that it took them to develop the machine. So brilliant engineering, not a real problem. Segway. Who here knows about Segway? The investors that invested in Segway, huge amounts. It's an amazing technology. The guy who invented this, he has like I don't know how many, patents and etc. He's one of the most prolific inventors that we have. Yeah, but it wasn't invented for, shopping center mall cops, circulating. It was supposed to be the revolution of transportation, but it was too weird, too costly, and now a couple of years later, we have scooters everywhere. Yeah, but it's not the same price, is it? It's not the same heaviness of carrying and etc. So the slow and soft mobility was something that we wanted, just not in this form, cost, or shape. Google Glasses, right? Brilliant innovation and Snapchat glasses. But I actually worked with Google Glasses at the time. I lived in the US for 10 years, by the way, in the Bay Area. That's why I'm American and Portuguese, and that's where my startup support and acceleration and investment and etc. Career and etc. started. So, but at the time, I was leading innovation programs in the Bay Area with Microsoft, Verizon, Google, et cetera, Facebook, and all of those. And Google Glasses was being launched, and it was amazing. But everyone that tried it thought it was weird and that the camera was on. So it was no adoption. The user didn't feel it was behavior. The user didn't feel confident or comfortable. Concord. Who here is old enough to remember Concord? Maybe I'm the only one, I don't know. But amazing plane, amazing technology. It was viable, but financially it was not. So they could not find a business model and a financial and investment model. This was in the late 80s, early 90s. So investment markets were still also different. But a flank as well. And then Better Place, this was battery as a service, as they called it. It was a replacement of the battery. Instead of you waiting for the battery to charge, you would, because at the time that was a constraint. Now there's superchargers and etc. But at the time it was a constraint. And so you'd get there and you just replace the battery for a charged one. They had such a hard time with creating the ecosystem, the partnerships, there were so many different models and so many that it became a nightmare, and they ended up not pursuing. So these are 5 the biggest fails in tech. So I suggest you look a little bit about each one of these examples and do a little bit of research and see if you don't fall in one of those. And how to do that. The solution is by creating value, not features. And when you find yourself, every time you're kind of doing a pitch or etc., and you find yourself explaining what it is, take note of that and think, how could I have said this by explaining why it's important, why it matters, what it solves, not how it solves or what it is. Okay, so it's not about the features. The features are relevant to be mentioned when they are the proof that you will deliver that value, that solution, because you have that feature. But it's never about the feature. So Alberto Savoia, he did the Google Glasses back in the back in the day, and the BlackBerry. He's very well known. I have a short video, but we don't have a lot of time, and I want to leave enough time for Jessica to close the session. So just look it up. It's a video, that introduction to prototyping, and from Stanford University, because he's a teacher at Stanford University. When I was doing innovation programs with them, with Berkeley and Stanford, that's how I came across. Definitely look him up, Alberto Savoia. So I'm going to leave at the end of each of the segments, I'm going to leave one of these. These are my work tools that I use when I do business coaching and etc. with European Innovation Council, with Accelerated, etc. So you're going to find it when you get the PDF. I'm not going to go into detail. They will sell. They have instructions, so they're here so that you get them with the PDF, and they relate to each section and each topic. So let's talk about investors. First of all, you need to know your TRL. I hope everyone here really, really knows the tech readiness level that they are at. That is like number one, to understand what you can do, what money and funding you can go after, how to navigate it with your partners, how to navigate it with the investors, and most of all, how to get access. I updated this with the 2026. The next workbook will be released. Usually it's in late end of the year, December or January. So these are the amounts for 2026 for all the funding schemes that we have going on in the European Commission. I definitely recommend you guys look into it and see what you can apply to, either through consortiums, through projects, or through direct funding. So a couple of years ago, we had at the accelerator, we had this AI solution that created, I actually really liked some parts of it, not all of it. It wasn't perfect, so we don't use it anymore. But this was one of the things that it had that I thought it was one of the best schemes to show how your adoption curve and how your cash flow and your your money and your expenditure, how all of them overlap. So this is an exercise that I recommend everyone to do and to do a timeline of money and resources. If you're going to do development, you're going to need to hire people. So if you're applying for a fund by the European Commission and you're going after money, this is super important. It's an easy way to show to your investor or to whoever you may have to show it, that you have a full grasp of all your ups and downs in terms of cash flow. And I'm bringing a new thing that I'm still waiting for the new Schwab and World Economic Forum information. They only have it released it in last year, not this year yet. So many of you already know carbon credits and nature credits and biodiversity. Finally, we're moving on to social impact credits. I've been working with social impact as a priority for the last 3 years, so around 3 to 4 years when I launched Her Venture Hub. And to me, this is really, really good news, because one of the problems that we have is investment and funding and measuring and turning that into a return on investment so that we can convince organizations and etc. So some of you may fit here. because if you look into the social impact that you have, and this is not only in people, it can be in society, it can be in ecosystems, and so go further. Okay. This viral matrix, this tool, it's look it up, viral by venture investment readiness assessment levels. This is a simplified version, but it really, really helps assessing where you are in terms of your readiness for investment. So it's a very easy exercise that then you can go deeper if you access the original matrix, because that one has a lot of information, but I really recommend it. Okay. So moving forward, impact washing versus impact by design. And why is this important? This is important because impact washing, it's marketing. It's ESG language added to a pitch deck. And I'm part of, I teach entrepreneurship at Nova University here in Portugal. I do jury pitch for so many startups, and you have no idea how easy it is for us to spot when it's just, blah, 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 and buzzwords. We had it with blockchain, and then we had it with AI, and then we had it with, sustainability and with. So impact by design, it has to be embedded in the business model, in the operations, in the partnerships, and in the strategy itself. And it's not, oh, we're going to save paper. We're not going to use paper in the office. It needs to go way deeper than that. In the workshop that we did at the kickoff at SIM conference, we actually shared a regenerative business model as a framework that if any of you want or need me or my co-founder Ruth, we can send it to you, or even Jessica if she still has access. So I definitely recommend you understanding, which I think it's easy, but you understanding where your impact is going. Fun fact, and I looked this week for new numbers, but there's no new numbers yet. This is from 2024, and it's around the same numbers for 2025. The social economy generates $2 trillion. It's double, or it's twice the revenue of the advertising industry. The advertising industry, which, to us, it's like one of the number ones, right? So, but social economy, it's at that level. It's just not perceived as such, or is not bragged about as much. So there's a couple of things happening. So feel free to go and look it up. We're part of the think tank that started in Rome and then in Brussels last year in order to, by the European Union, in order to understand how we can help social entrepreneurs, how we can help social enterprises to be a legal format in all countries of Europe, which at this moment it's only in 8. Portugal is not one of them. We don't have social enterprises, but there's a lot happening here. So some of you, it may be of value for you either to look into it or to understand how you can be part of that movement. This report just came out. And it has very interesting numbers and facts and data on social economy and how Europeans embrace it, and how public authorities are adhering to it. So this is super important for you to, in order to close partnerships and get into, especially if you are doing B2G, business to government, that would be super important. I left a couple of numbers and facts and numbers here with the sources, so feel free to go and look it up. You're going to have the PDF. And of course, regardless, needless to say that you need to be lining up with, with Sustainable Development Goals, European Green Deal, with blue economy, green economy, with, keeping an eye on what's happening at COP, which finally this year we had some women because at COP 28 or 29, which was in Dubai, there was only one woman and like 20 something men. So in Brazil, they did a better job at it. But so keep track of what's happening. It's important for most of you to see if there's alignment with your solutions and with what's happening. And this is an example of when you do it for the right reasons and you bring it down to a very, very, very narrow and very specific point. This is Mindfire Foundation. They're in Switzerland. They're the ones who they pulled me in for two projects, and then they invited me to lead the launch of Lab 42, which is the AI research lab in Davos. And this was in 21, 22, in 22. So beginning of ChatGPT. The GPT didn't exist yet. So it was the beginning of the beginning. And we were doing it in order to help the Davos Science City foundations and research centers, like mapping the human genome, there was one of them, they had a sound frequency experiment with cells, grouping cells in order to create tissue. And AI at the time was the solution, of course. Then in the meantime became mainstream, but it was very clear for humankind, for so that AI is for the many and not for the few. So Lab 42 was part of the team that created the framework for the ethics, AI ethics. Impact Matrix, this is another tool that I'm leaving with you. Feel free to use it, to, print it and work with your teams or by yourself. Ecosystems and scaling as a scaling infrastructure. This is something that requires us founders to get out of our desk and to get out of our computers and to kind of be aware and attend some events and go out and talk with people to understand, not with a specific target, but to understand what can be done in and how you can partner. But before you do that, you need to know where you're at. So this is valid for any startup that's attending here, not only our 20 selected female founders, but anyone attending. You need to understand if you're doing a proof of concept or if you're ready for a minimum viable product, because that will shape the partnership or your positioning or your value for the ecosystem. The same way as the ability that you have or not to develop your solution in an agile, minimum viable product way. So this is Henrik Kniberg's agile concept, that this is not how you do something in an agile and a minimum viable way. This is because the intention of a car is to take you from point A to point B. That's the value of a car. Then it can be comfortable, it can give you status, it can be, well, Ferraris, they're mostly for status. It so happens that they take you from point A to point B, but the car was invented to take you from point A to point B faster than walking or by horse, right? So if you develop just the wheel, just one of the wheels, it's not going to happen. But if you develop a transportation that it's escaped, skateboard, not that happy, right? But okay, you didn't get it. I want to go faster. Okay, then at second stage, it's a scooter, then it's a bicycle, then it's a motorcycle. And at the end, the client is actually, oh, I really like the velocity. I like the air on my hair and the freedom, and I'm actually adventurous. So he gets a sports car or a convertible. So it's understanding, it's developing and understanding the client. So when you're doing a proof of concept, it needs to be connected, or a pilot, it needs to be connected to your vision. It needs you shouldn't. I just spent 2 weeks, no, 3 weeks, providing support to our Hub Azul, which is the Blue Economy startup accelerating program and venture builder. And some of the pilots, because we're doing pilot development, were not connected to the final vision. So when this happens, you end up doing a pilot that sometimes it's not paid for. So you use your resources, your time, etc. And you're like, yeah, no, it was cool, it was really good, but yeah, but it was so specific that we're not even using that information to develop our product. So ideally, a pilot, especially if it's a not paid pilot, uh, ideally, it's paid. If not, it needs to be contributing, even if the partner of the pilot or the client or whatever is not interested in some of the data, that's fine. You just deliver what they want, but make sure that some of the assumptions and are being tested while you're doing the pilot. So once you understand what you're developing, a proof of concept, a minimum viable product, a pilot, where you are in terms of prototype or whatever, where you are, then you can go and once you understand what you can deliver that works in an agile way, you can go to the ecosystem, to your partners, to and understand where you fit. And this is one of the models that we have at her Venture Hub. But I brought you one from Portugal that I used the other day and really, really liked it. This is our Portuguese annual some I report. So here you have corporations, you have capital, you have talent, you have knowledge, you have enablers, policy and incentives. All of these are part of the ecosystem. It's not only the capital holders, it's not only the investors, or it's not only the incubators and the accelerators. You need to think outside of the box, and you need to map them, you know, the universities that you can partner with, the research institutes, the enablers such as incubators, accelerators, innovation program holders, or companies that are working in that sphere, and all of that. So, and I know it's a lot of work, but that is how you can better build a future where you're in the middle of both. You're doing shared value. That is, for example, what we fight for conditions in Europe, for companies to have models that are shared based, shared value based. So they create social value while they're creating business. Doing Banca Comerciale Romani in Romania is an excellent example. I've worked with them twice already, and BCR Financial Social. It's a great example. They started because they wanted to renovate the economy. They knew that they would have to, have different standards and criteria for risk assessment. So they started lending money to, younger people, single mothers, women, new business owners, etc., artists, and etc., and social impact initiatives. And now it's a success case. Actually, they're working with the European Commission and contributing to understanding how that can be replicated in other areas. So feel free to look it up, Banca Comerciale Romani. And we have a couple of people from Romania, I think, at least one or two. The names came across as very Romanian. So more information I can supply more information. Then there's a decision, a very important decision, which is, do you need, want, or can scale or grow? There's this thing, oh, startups, startups, startups. the European Innovation Council, for example, the agency is for startups and small, medium enterprises. Because in fact, there's companies that are startups, but they actually have a customer service or consultancy service or whatever that can work as a business. And sometimes we have small, medium enterprises that come across a solution and they do a spin-off and it turns out to be a profitable startup. Either way, I say good business making good impact and good money is better than a startup only making good dreams. So we need business. We cannot, it is what it is. We're still in a capitalist and, money-driven world and society. So you need to understand if you are going to scale because you have the conditions, or if you're going to grow. And with growth, your operations grows at the same time that your revenue, that your funding, etc. With scaling, it's high risk, high investment. So there's ups and downs for both. There are pros and cons for both. I'm leaving you with two tools. This one I created for some of the startups, the accelerator, because they had sometimes it was hard to juggle all the balls up in the air. That's why there is a juggler there. And so it kind of helps you map if you're ready for scaling. And this one I actually created for the Lab 42 at the Davos, because we had even the pitch that I did to the mayor of Davos. It was and to Davos Science City. It was hard to explain how the research center and lab would grow. And this centric kind of thing, like the rings of a tree, ended up being very useful and it was perfect. I had one of the people of the team, Ralph, he was amazing at building this with me. So it's great when you have people that can think outside of the box. Derek Sivers, I don't know if any of you know him. I always recommend Derek. To today is still one of the people that I seek for more guidance in life and in business. This book, 40 Lessons for a New Kind of Entrepreneur, it still resonates with me after so many years, and he wrote some other books. I do recommend him, not because he's my friend, but because I really, really, really believe in the things that he teaches that are good for business and good for people. And so I'm going to play this tiny, tiny video, which is just a minute, to inspire you.
How to be useful to others. Number one, get famous. Do everything in public and for the public. The more people you reach, the more useful you are. The opposite is hiding, which is of no use to anyone. How to be useful to others. Number two, get rich. Money is neutral proof that you're adding value to people's lives. So by getting rich, you're being useful as a side effect. Once rich, spend the money in ways that are even more useful to others. Then getting rich is double useful. How to be useful to others. Share strong opinions. Strong opinions are very useful to others. Those who are undecided or ambivalent can just adopt your stance, but those who disagree can solidify their stance by arguing against yours. So even if you invent an opinion for the sole sake of argument, boldly sharing a strong opinion is very useful to others. How to be useful to others? Be expensive. People given a placebo pill were twice as likely to have their pain disappear when told that that pill was expensive. People who paid more for tickets were more likely to attend the performance. So people who spend more for a product or service value it more and get more use out of it. So be expensive.
Okay? So the two things can share value, the two things can walk hand in hand. So this is another short exercise I would love for you to take 1 or 2 minutes to think and consider from the things that I talked or that I shared or that I try to teach, it's more about sharing than teaching, but um, what would you do differently after today? We would love for you to write it on the chat. So I'm going to wait 2 minutes. Jessica, we're going to count 2 minutes.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
we should have some music. I didn't plan for music. Usually I have a music for intervals, for breaks.
Okay, we have a comment in the chat. Okay, this video was absolutely fantastic. Can you share the link with us? I think that
Oh, the
while we are
PDF
sharing
we
the,
will have.
yeah,
The
so you
PDF will
have,
have it.
we are sharing the presentation at the end of the webinar, so you have also the link in the presentation. But I agree, it was amazing.
No,
I loved
and
it.
look at it, look him up, Derek Sivers. He has a couple of TED Talks, and still to today, and I meet a lot of people and amazing people, but this is personal, of course, because this book, it's still the one that I identify myself the most with. And he writes very short. It's very straight to the point. Very, very good reading.
Another comment in the chat, I think also it's related to the video. Yes, lovely indeed. I need to charge more.
See?
Another comment, one of the things that I would change is make a clear picture of the situation where are we on prototype or MVP. It was really, really useful presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. I know it's because we tend to say, oh, yeah, they're looking for pilots. I'm going to do a pilot with them. And maybe we're not ready for a pilot. Or we go like, oh, they want proofs of concept. And we're actually maybe ready to do a minimum viable product, which is supposed to be paid for. So ideally, we would be doing always paid pilots or selling MVPs.
Yeah.
Because that's money in the pocket.
So we have
I
5 minutes. Sorry to interrupt you. We have 5 minutes left. So if you want to write in the chat any questions or also, I mean, to reply to what Luisa just asked a couple of minutes ago. So we still have 5 minutes. Or any curiosity as well to ask to
yes,
Luisa.
any questions or so let me stop sharing. There you go. No one has questions.
No, seems no.
The tools, if you, ladies and gentlemen, if you use the tools, you'll see they seem very, very simple until you start filling out one of those.
We have another comment in the chat. Develop a strategy on how we can be more visible and valuable to our target customers and partners in a cost-efficient way.
This is a tricky one. Super relevant, regardless if it's a B2B or B2C. But this is a tricky one because it used to, oh, and this is Mary, right? Space Crop.
Yeah.
Huge fan of your solution, by the way. I spoke with Ludmila at SIM conference and huge fan. We need to talk separately from here. But it's hard because especially in these deep tech or innovative solutions or complex solutions, because it's mostly B2B and therefore it's not on social media. It's not with pushing marketing. So I tend to believe that it's easier with partnerships. Even with Her Venture Hub, that's how, and our intention is to reach out to 4 billion women in the world. But it's easier at the beginning That's why we're here at EpicX. That's why we keep doing things with Karolinska and with Dubai Chambers and now with the government in Dubai. So because when it's a complex solution, you cannot explain it in a post on social media, which now it's fully, full of noise. Your presentation. Okay, thank you. I had more slides, but then I was like, this is not going to be enough. This is too much. There is another one which I highly recommend as well, which is Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals, which is the method that Jim Porras wrote in 1998, something like that, but it's still super valid. For example, NASA had the big, hairy, audacious goal. Big, hairy, audacious goals, just like the name says, are meant to be audacious, are meant to be doable, but like barely to a point where you think, yeah, but this is going to be super hard, but at the same time, they need to be inspiring. So if you're interested, I also have information that's one of the things that I've been using for myself for a long time, even in my life, even in my personal life, going through a lot of things and moving to a different country and going over a divorce and etc. Even for that, I used Big Hairy Audacious Goals. And it's really, really good. There's a lot of information about it online. For example, NASA was going to the moon and bring them safe. The audacious goal was doing that in 10 years. It was doing all of that and bringing them back because that was
Sorry,
the
Luisa, to
challenge.
interrupt you, but we have only 1 minute left, and I will take just the floor to say thank you to all the participants, and thanks also to you, Luisa. Thanks a lot for your presentation and for all the inputs that I thought all the startups they can also I mean it was a really added value. So thanks a lot. And so I think we can wrap up here the meeting. Sorry again to interrupt you, but the time it's over. Once again, thank you. And we will share with you the presentation. And if Luisa, you want to share other links or other, I don't know, other material, just feel free and feel free to share with me, and then I will share also to the participants. And in case you want to reach out to Luisa directly, we can also share your contact, Luisa, right?
Yes.
Or if you want to copy here and paste.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy it here.
Perfect. In the chat. So all the participants, they have also your direct contact and they can reach you out easily. Amazing.
There you go. I copy pasted from the slide. That's
perfect.
It.
Thank you. So thank you so much once again, and hope to see you soon in the next webinars, in the next EPICS webinars. And don't forget that next week on Monday, we will have another another webinar. It's not organized directly from CERN, but it's another partner involved in EPICS as well. So
Hope
thank
to see
you.
you all there.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great week. Bye-bye. Be well.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.